Hello everyone, welcome back to the painting vlogs on Why Did the Nations Rage. This is episode 2 of the Imperfect Cathedral. It's the fifth sit-in since I've started the painting itself. I'm moving along rather productively, I think. I've got by the time episode 3 is going to be up, I will have had about 40 hours into this painting altogether. That's just a rough estimate, but here you see me now adding in these guidelines, just like I did with the center window if you saw episode 1. I'm just trying to get everything straight, get everything laid out the way that I want it to be, so that I can go in and start basically constructing the frame of each of the windows. And that's what I'm going to be doing in episode 2. I'm basically just working in these lines here for each of these windows. I'm basing the top of each window off of the design from the center window that I did in episode 1 that you see there in the center. And I'm just kind of working my way through it slowly. I'm obviously using the rulers quite a bit. The rulers are great for stuff like this, and they definitely help me out a lot. I don't have a very steady hand, especially when it comes to painting, and I just find that the rulers speed the process up much quicker. I find myself washing the canvas far less whenever I use these rulers. I have a regular 12-inch ruler, and then I have a much smaller, much lighter 6-inch ruler, and it's a lot thinner, but it also tends to warp a little bit when you're trying to hold it up against the canvas. So that's why I have the larger ruler, because it's thicker, it's more sturdy, it's more rigid for doing stuff like this. So I'm kind of just, like I said, I'm going off of the top of the center window. And the rest of the window itself is actually pretty simple. I have changed it a little bit. I have made the hexagon shapes quite larger, as you can see. This is basically how I did that center window, how I started it out on the top, is I just came in with these super simple hexagon shapes, and then I added lines to them as I progressed. And this is all based off of sketchings and drawings that I did previously. I showed you some of them on episode 1. By the way, I know that episode 1 was extremely long in the beginning before I actually got to the painting, and I talked a lot, but I just wanted to do an intro. I wanted to kind of explain the painting itself to you and my thoughts on it, and kind of show you where I had made some mistakes, and basically fill you in on what my intent was in making the painting itself. Now you can see here that the canvas is actually moving around on me quite a bit, and it's because I have it supported by a tripod. I don't actually have an easel. I'm working on getting one, but this is basically the best I have. So I just have the canvas itself wedged in to the tripod. The tripod's great as a tripod. It's actually a professional grade tripod, but the head on it is set up for photography. It's what a professional, like a studio photographer, would use. It's not really set up for video, so I haven't used it a whole lot with my cameras. I mean, I've used it some, but not a whole lot. But as you can see, I'm using it here as a makeshift easel, and I've actually been using it the entire time that I've been working on this painting. So it comes in handy for that, but I'm also getting paint on it as I progress through the painting. As you can see there, I almost completely lost it. Like the canvas almost came completely off of the tripod. It's a little aggravating. It wasn't such a big deal in the beginning, but as I'm moving away from the center of the painting and actually pushing down on these extreme, like the extreme outside of the canvas itself, it's not working very well. So it's actually taken me a little bit longer to get this done because of that. This is a 16 by 20 canvas. It's just standard linen. It came pre-primed, but I added some acrylic gesso to it before I actually started painting. Here I'm just trying to add these fine lines in. I'm also experimenting a little bit, going back over myself a little bit here and there, erasing some of the lines and straightening some of them up, just making them neater. But my goal is to get as close as I can to that center window. I like the way that turned out, and I think that the way that this turned out ended up fairly well. Like the overall result was fairly well. I was fairly pleased with it. It's kind of difficult to get these complex lines shaped right and angled right because the windows themselves are at extreme angles, especially the ones on the left. They're very narrow and very tall. So I'm kind of having to squeeze some of these lines in to get them to basically duplicate that center window. So I'm stopping quite a bit here and there and just stepping back and looking at it, making sure that everything looks good before I progress. Keep in mind that this is time-lapsed. I know that's obvious, but this video is actually fairly short compared to most of my videos. But this is actually, just keep in mind that this is actually about 2.5 hours here. 2.5 hours of painting these lines. So maybe I just move extremely slow when it comes to stuff like this, but I like to be as precise as I can. I like to take my time, and I also thoroughly enjoy it. So I'm not really in any kind of a rush when I'm doing this. If I try to rush myself, then I find that it's less satisfying. I miss things. I don't do as well as I feel like I can do if I just take my time and enjoy it. This particular painting, however, I am kind of in a slight rush to get it done, because the next painting that I have planned to do has a deadline. As I mentioned in the previous vlog, I need it done by a certain date. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about some changes that are coming in my life in the next video. So stay tuned for that. This is what it turned out looking like overall, and this will be the end of episode 2. So thank you for watching. Come back for the next one. See you later.